This is good. 9-3. I'm still concerned about the Giants. 17 turnovers in this game. They still has not had a point guard emerge to kind of get them organized and run their feet. You're right.
Ah, dang it. Hello, everybody.
Despite treatment, it's still not under control. But now, some get significant itch relief as early as 2 days, and some achieve dramatic skin clearance as early as 2 weeks. Many soft clear, but clear skin. Plus, many have clear skin and less itch even at 4 years.
What? Oh, that was my phone. I had my phone on.
See the event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events: infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, don't take allergic or have an infection.
Disrupt the itch and rash of eczema. Talk to your dermatologist about Rinvoq.
Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
I'm gonna try again.
Sandwich or salad. Because there's cozy, and then there's cuddling up with some autumn squash soup cozy. And that feeling is just about where
let's go. Stick with me. Come on.
Join my crazy space when you're nice to enjoy. With built-in storage, feature space, and back here, so many doors and make a
God dang it.
She said she was in friends.
She's full of friends.
What if we get having new packets and tea for
How's your stuff looking? Okay. Where are we going? We're going to go middle of the field for the touchdown.
Let's go!
Starfire. Ah. Well, I could get to it. Okay, where's everybody else? Right, Saturday. A lot of people are shopping. Okay, Bert, Tim. Starfire. Where's Ann? Ann. Arrow. Oh, got to turn TV down.
He's asking Santa to bring the NBA back to Walt Disney World.
Okay, so, well, everybody, I'm 100 hours even. So, I don't know. I thought I was going to have it today, but it might be after tonight. Maybe by tomorrow night I should have it. Or Monday for sure, probably. Dave! I figured you've been lurking. About time you come in. Yeah, I'll tell everybody I'm about 100 hours away from getting monetized. I should have it by Monday or sooner. I'll be able to have super chat. I'm just gonna do the super chat, or Cash App, and my PO box. I'm not gonna do pay for coffee anymore.
All right, the box just arrived. And honestly, see some. BetMGM Casino.
Here, I'll do it this way. Yeah, that's old news already. Yep, I know. I'm not Starfire. It's just for the people that wants to donate. I'm not asking for money. Because everybody wanted me to have a place for donations. There's a lot of people have been asking where to send stuff. Hey, that. What are you talking about, Starfire? I'm not asking for. You don't understand what I'm saying. There's a lot of people want to donate, and that's where I'm going. Goodbye. Oh my God. Starfire is being. She thinks.
I saw it. I was watching it, but I need it.
I don't know what. So what, did I say the right thing, didn't I?
I had it. I just started. I'm replaying because I didn't get the first of it.
That
I saw her comment.
I don't know. I can't believe she got upset about that. I'm not charging nobody.
I know. Okay. Go ahead.
I don't know.
Ignore her. Don't even acknowledge that, okay?
I,
Just ignore her. Is that about a problem? Did you hit the mark?
no, not yet.
But you hit the mark.
So
Great job after almost
I know.
years. Robert's finally getting past.
Yeah. So when you go in chat, say that to everybody for me if you can. Everything. They don't.
I'll take care of it, okay?
Uh,
All right, bye.
like. Let me explain it again, Starfire. I've been working very hard. I never asked for nobody to pay for my channel or ask for money. It's for the people that want to donate. I'm not asking for to pay for my channel. Everybody wanted me to get monetized and have places that donate, like some people have. Thank you, Dave. I worked so hard for 6 years, and I finally. Well, I don't know what you meant by. You didn't understand what I said, though. It's like it's for the people that like to donate. I got a lot of people that donate, like Lucy, Karen, and every JJ from Australia. I'm not asking for to pay for the channel, Starfire. I give up. You don't understand what I'm trying to say, Starfire. Kay will be in here in a minute. Yeah, Lucy, they think Starfire thinks I'm asking for money. I'm not asking for money. She'll be in here in a minute. You see, Starfire? See what Lucy just put down? Voluntarily. I never asked. Thanks, Tim. This is the closest I got. I'm going to get monetized. YouTube's going to be paying me, not the people. Not the people. It's YouTube that's paying me. I'm going to be monetized. If you don't like it, then oh well. Oh, I can't believe that. Oh my God. So what, Starfire, you don't want me to get monetized? Is that it? You don't want me to earn money? I'm not asking for the people. YouTube's the one that's paying me. Oh my God. Okay, thanks, Carol. I guess you can go ahead and block Starfire, Kay. She wants to be rude about it. Thank you, Kay. Yep, we're almost there. We still got 100 hours more to get. Yeah, she was a mod. She put my number in chat without telling me. Okay. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. I hope everyone's having a good Saturday, and yep. So we'll move on. So we got some breaking news. Oh wait. I better do the big breaking news first. God dang it. What is going on now?
All right, we got some big breaking news. Come on in, folks. U.S. soldiers ambushed in Syria. Come on in, folks. This is bad. Escalation. Come on in. Whoa. We got multiple casualties here, including fatalities. 2 U.S. soldiers dead. A civilian killed after they were ambushed in a town in Syria while patrolling Palmyra. Timing is very interesting on this, so we're going to talk. This is breaking across the wire. We got a map of Syria. I expect some sort of retaliation on this one.
It's fine.
This comes after, the stuff that's going on in Venezuela with the strikes that are about to happen and or are already happening. Suddenly, ISIS, it appears ISIS is still around. We thought ISIS was gone. Nope. An ISIS terrorist opened fire on U.S. troops in Palmyra, Syria. Now, I think the timing of this is very, very interesting. We're still in Syria. There's hundreds of troops still in Syria trying to eradicate any resurgence of ISIS. ISIS is still in different areas of Syria, and we've been over there for a while. It's not talked about, but our troops are there. And what happened today is troops were patrolling. They were just patrolling. I'm going to get some videos up and everything like that. So we're going to talk about this situation. But somebody opened fire, and the Secretary of War is not happy with this. He's calling the individual a savage. You can see there 2 U.S. soldiers and civilian killed, others wounded after assailant. Looks like it's just like one assailant, which is interesting. I thought maybe it would be a group of ISIS that would open fire on the troops. 2 U.S.
Okay, that's the first breaking news.
We fight.
Breaking news. This is crazy, everyone. At a Panasonic batteries plant in DeSoto, Kansas, mass chaos today. An employee stabs another employee to death with a knife. Then police respond to the scene and shoot the employee dead. And then they evacuate the entire building, suspecting some sort of explosives. Whoa, the massive scene here. I'm going to share some information about what happened here. DeSoto, Kansas. Panasonic batteries. We all use batteries, and I'm sure a lot of you have used Panasonic batteries. But look at all this police here. And police speak, and I want to share what they have to say, and then we will further discuss. Check it out.
Ready? Anybody need me to spell the name? Byron Roberson, BYRON, Sheriff, Johnson County, Kansas. Hello. Today, the Johnson County Sheriff's Office responded to a call that culminated in an officer-involved shooting. The suspect is deceased. This is an active investigation.
Happy Saturday, Daniel.
The Johnson County Officer-Involved Critical Incident Investigations Team, with Olathe Police Department as lead agency, will take over the investigation. At 10:59 this morning, Johnson County Dispatch received a call about a stabbing at the Panasonic plant at 103rd and Astra Parkway in DeSoto, Kansas. Deputies arrived on scene shortly after and located one victim with multiple stab wounds. The deputies found the suspect. The interaction with the suspect ended in an officer-involved shooting. The suspect was shot, and deputies performed life-saving efforts. He was pronounced deceased by MEDAC at 11:25. MEDAC transported one victim with stab wounds to the hospital in critical condition. Johnson County Parks Police also responded to the scene. No deputies or officers were injured. Again, because this is an officer-involved shooting, the Johnson County Officer-Involved Critical Incident Investigation Team will be handling the investigation from here out. I'll try to answer a question or two here.
Do we have names on any of these folks yet?
So that was another shooting. 4 minutes on the next one.
Woman who has voted for you 3 times. When you first came onto the scene, I was taken aback by the way that you acted, because I'd never seen anything like that before, somebody just speaking their mind. I got used to it because of the policies that you wanted for the United States of America. I knew that you couldn't be bought and compromised. And I thought that voting for you would help America get back to what America was when I was growing up. You've revealed so much.
We got to come back to that, you guys. Breaking news. Kobe.
And Hawley Engineering. I don't know if that's where the shooting happened or where if it was multiple locations. We don't know.
This is live.
Cranston Rescue 2.
Cranston Rescue 2, can you hit your tone? You hit your emergency button.
All set, accidental.
Roger, accidental. Cranston Rescue 2, 1657.
Coventry Rescue 4, Rescue 6 on scene staging.
AP is saying officials say a suspect is in custody.
Rescue 4 and 6, 1657.
Hang on, let me check this Associated Press report. Give me 1 second here. Officials say a suspect is in custody. That's according to Associated Press. You can see it on your screen right now. Officials say a suspect is in custody. So I don't really have more details about that. But that AP posted that. I don't know if they got on the scanner a little while ago. They said a shooter was down. But now AP reporting a suspect is in custody.
Fire alarm to Battalion 1.
Engine 2 day. Engine 2, do you have a report for Foster? 23-year-old female, head bleeding, laceration, conscious and alert, all the violence off the table.
That didn't sound good if that was a shooting victim.
Update. We have 3 task force and a triage set up. 184 Oak Street at the entrance. We are waiting for a police escort, but there's no victims to go for at this point.
The scanner earlier.
Have any of the task forces entered that building? That's a negative. We're waiting for police escort.
There's still buildings they need to go in and search.
Okay, that's enough on that. We'll go back.
I believe we're hijacked at some point with the entire Q movement.
Brown.
I'm not sure what to believe anymore. I know that since you've taken office, groceries for me are higher. Gas is high. The power bill is high. Just surviving every day is getting more and more impossible. And I don't see how America has become hot or America's back. America's better than ever. I don't know what timeline you're on, but it's not the timeline of the American people. We are barely hanging on at this point. You know, and some people like to say that it's a movie. I've said it myself. I've believed it before. So much cognitive dissonance. I don't see how sending money again to Ukraine.
This is what I was telling you about, Gabe.
Or to anywhere is useful at this point. You're not taking care of the American people.
Thanks, Colby.
And I am just beside myself watching zero arrests and zero accountability. And I really don't want to think this, but I'm starting to think that we've all been had and that you're all on the same team. I can tell you one thing for sure. The Democrats and the Republicans are completely corrupt, and our government is rotten to the core. To the core. This is the reality. Our tax-paying dollars have been stolen, people have gone on shopping sprees and buying private jets and sending money to other countries so that they can launder it back to themselves. Like, when does it end? Respectfully, we the people.
She made a point.
Taxes, so you can walk out with confidence. Now this is taxes.
What's up, fam? Welcome back to Out of the Darkness. I am Q. So I'm always going to be the one to give credit where credit is due. When people do great things, I'm going to give them all the credit I can possibly give them. When people do stupid things, I'm also going to give them all the credit that I can possibly give them. I will always give people credit for their actions, whether good or bad. And as of recently, I've gotten in some hot water with many of you guys for the credit that I've been giving Pam Bondi for some of the things that she has done. Now, she's also recently done some things I am extremely excited about. And so I'm here to give her credit for that because I believe she's serving the American people in these actions. And I believe it is what America needs right now. So recently, I've discussed this before, but recently, several states have been sued by the DOJ, by the federal government. And these states have actually been, there's 4 brand new ones bringing us to 18. And that is Colorado, Hawaii, Massachusetts, and Nevada. Now, 18 states altogether because these states have refused to turn over their voter rolls. They've refused to prove that, one, that they're up to date and that the people on there have the right to vote. And so because they failed to turn this over, Pam Bondi's Department of Justice is actually going after them. Now, specifically, Hermeet Dillon is the one, the attorney, the assistant attorney general is the one that's heading this up. But I also understand that people are going to be graded based on what their whole department does. The head of the attorney general's office is Pam Bondi. So kudos to Pam Bondi for this. Now, I thought it was a brilliant argument that they decided to bring, and it was based solely off of civil rights. Now, that would seem weird at first thought, but it was brilliant in the sense that everyone has the right to have their vote voted equally. What could possibly be more American? What could possibly be a greater right for an American to have than to have the right to choose our leaders? To know that no matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are, that your vote should have the same weight as the next person. I think that it means a lot. That is what our country was founded on. That no matter where you start, it doesn't determine where you finish. And no matter how small you may be, you still have a voice. That's important. But in recent years, that hasn't always been the case. In recent years, certain states have given more weight to certain voices and certain people. And because of that, it has cost us elections. It has changed election results around as a result of it. And so there's no reason that if Florida decides to be meticulous about their voter rolls and say Illinois chooses to be careless about them or chooses to just, well, be sneaky or even unwittingly stupid. I mean, I guess that would be the best way to put it. Then there's no reason why the people of Florida should suffer as a result of that, of their dereliction of duty in Illinois or Minnesota or California or even New York. So what they do does affect the rest of us, and we're seeing that clearly in Minnesota. When Minnesota doesn't ensure that those that they're giving benefits to are legally entitled to those benefits, then it costs the taxpayers billions and billions of dollars. So I love the argument. I love the fact that she is using the argument that she is protecting the civil rights of all of us in the United States, ensuring that one person gets one vote legally. I love it. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do you guys support this or do you not? Comment below.
Hey, the first Q video. We got Nick, 9 minutes.
On the leftovers. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Mass added again being a pain in the butt to the Trump administration, last night dropping a thread on X suggesting that the J6 pipe bomber that they just arrested is either not the actual guy or at the very least, there's no way that he acted alone. And this is according to what he calls credible sources, whistleblowers that are current and former employees of the government coming forward and divulging information to him. Now, I'm going to point out the obvious here. Thomas Massie is not exactly the most popular guy in MAGA. He's become an enemy of Trump, standing next to Marjorie Taylor Greene in front of signs that claim Trump is a pedophile, voting against the Trump agenda, and making himself an enemy of Trump every step of the way. So his motives and his credibility are obviously going to be brought into question here. But at the very least, this is interesting and it's worth sharing with you guys and talking about. Because in an effort to be fully transparent with you guys, I have my own skepticism regarding the guy that they arrested, as I just find it very, very weird that, you know, we had the Blaze come out with this report just last month. They said they identified a former Capitol Police officer as a forensic match to the person we see in the J6 pipe bomber footage. Based on a forensic analysis, a gait analysis, they had an expert that did some sort of number crunching and determined that the person was actually a former Capitol Police officer that then went to work security for the CIA. And then suddenly we have Kash Patel coming forward and saying, very soon we're going to be dropping something regarding the J6 pipe bomber after the whole thing was dead and nobody did anything about it for years. All of a sudden, the Blaze comes out and says, we've got somebody that we think it is. And then the FBI makes an arrest. I mean, I just found that so bizarre that it just leaves a lot of questions in my mind. So I'm not saying I believe Thomas Massie here. Let me get out in front of this and say I'm not endorsing this information. But I do think that we still have some questions left to be answered regarding this whole situation. And so maybe there's some pieces of the puzzle that we can gather from this, and it may be useful to us in some way, shape, or form. So here's what he had to say. Last night, I received a disclosure from a new FBI whistleblower regarding the J6 pipe bomb case. This is the third disclosure I've received from current and former employees of the government regarding the pipe bomb case in recent weeks. These brave, moral people could lose their jobs and wreck their careers, but they care deeply for our country. So at the risk of editorializing, I will summarize what I learned from this newest disclosure in order not to disclose the identity of this whistleblower. The community where the suspect was arrested is populated with several employees of the FBI, Secret Service, and police. Many of them have observed the suspect on walks over the years. So let's stop right there because this is important. What we've got so far is Thomas Massie saying that he's had 3 disclosures so far, but everything that we're about to read is from one of them, the most recent one, who is getting secondhand information from several employees of the FBI, Secret Service, and police. So it's important to note we don't know the source of this information and what agency they're affiliated with. We don't know if this is a member of the FBI, Secret Service, police. We have no idea. This is somebody saying that all these people are coming forward to them, and then the source, the whistleblower, is coming to Thomas Massie with the secondhand info. But they say many of them have observed the suspect on walks over the years. He wanders around his neighborhood several times a day while walking a dog. Other than walking his dog, he doesn't engage in any other activities outside his home. He does not interact with anyone. He doesn't wave or acknowledge others or even say hello. He does not even look at other people when he walks by. He appears to live in his own world. He's never been observed walking around in an angry or agitated state. His demeanor is detached and vacant. He's always worn headphones when walking around the neighborhood. It's possible that he's using headphones to drown out any surrounding noises. He doesn't appear to be interested in anything or even get interested in things that are happening around him. His behavior is awkward. It's obvious he has a mental disability and likely lives in a permanently vulnerable intellectual and emotional state. It's well known that individuals with mental conditions are susceptible to providing inaccurate and unwarranted confessions. So what we're suggesting here is that this guy, Brian Cole Jr., is essentially autistic, wears headphones to cancel out noise because of overstimulation or something of that sort. And that what we're suggesting is that due to his mental condition, there's no possible way that he was capable of planting those bombs and could have potentially been coerced into making a false confession. Now, this sounds pretty far-fetched. However, I want you guys to be aware that this information is actually corroborated a bit by members of Brian Cole Jr.'s family. So I want to come to this article here, to this paragraph where it says that Brian Cole Jr. reportedly lived in his mother's basement in Woodbridge, Virginia, was described by family as quiet and naive. Neighbors often seen him walking a chihuahua in the Washington, D.C. suburb and wearing shorts all winter long, no matter how cold it was. One neighbor told the New York Times Loretta Cole, the suspect's grandmother, called him almost autistic-like, who would not hurt a fly. He's just not that kind of person. Loretta added, he's slow. He may be 30, but he's got the mind of a 16-year-old. And so at this point, we have Brian Cole Jr.'s grandmother, a neighbor, and according to Thomas Massie, several members of law enforcement, all suggesting that he had some sort of intellectual disability and was possibly autistic, operating at some sort of limited capacity compared to the general public. So that part might be true. I would suggest that it probably is. But the notion that he wasn't the guy or that he had nothing to do with it, I think that based on the information that we have, at the very least, he was part of it. Now, maybe he was put up to it. Maybe he was a fall guy. Maybe he was a patsy. That's very possible. But based on the information that's been released, I think either there was a very, very coordinated and elaborate setup to frame him, or he was very much involved in the pipe bomb planting. So I base that off of this information here. The fact that Cole allegedly used a credit card to purchase what authorities described as multiple items consistent with the components that were used to manufacture the pipe bombs placed at the RNC and DNC in an affidavit. Those items allegedly included pipes of the same size and shape of those in the J6 bombs, white kitchen-style timers, and battery connectors. Cell phone towers allegedly showed Cole's cell phone in that area the same night the bombs were placed, and a license plate reader allegedly spotted his 2017 Nissan Sentra driving past a spot less than 1/2 mile from the location where the bombs were placed. Now, the smoking gun, they say, is the fact that he was wearing some very rare sneakers, Nike Air Max Speed Turfs to be exact, a rare style from the mid-1990s that was released in 2012 and again in 2018. Unlike its popular and trendy counterpart, the Air Force Ones, the Speed Turfs are rare, limited finds, and typically available only on resale sites. According to reports, that meant only a small number of people owned a pair, making them relatively easy to spot. But the thing about the sneakers is that the FBI never recovered them. Brian Cole Jr. apparently said that he got rid of them, discarded them, trashed them after planting the bombs. So the smoking gun evidence, we don't actually have it. We just know that from the footage, apparently, whoever did plant the bombs was wearing a rare form of Nikes. So there's just a lot of things that don't add up
1
here.
minute.
And Thomas Massey concludes this
1
thread
minute.
that based on the observations of several neighbors, the suspect does not appear to have the mental acumen to plan, prepare, and execute a complex bombing plot by himself. On November 13th, the FBI conducted a surveillance operation on the suspect's street, but their surveillance was easily identifiable to many in the area. Not only were neighbors not evacuated during the arrest and search of the alleged bomber's home, they were required to remain in their homes. If the suspect had in fact been engaged in making bombs and stockpiling bomb materials, the proper safety precautions were not taken. My personal conclusion, the FBI employee disclosing the information to me does not believe the FBI has arrested a person who is capable or motivated or even interested enough in affairs outside his own small world to execute the J6 pipe bomb plot on his own. So this is the picture that Massey's trying to paint regarding the DC bomber, and he's really trying to cast doubt over the FBI's investigation and this arrest that's been made. Now, I'm not sure which way to go with this, because at the same time as I don't trust the FBI, even with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino at the helm, I also don't necessarily trust Thomas Massey. I mean, he's got an agenda. He's definitely got it out for Trump. He wants to cast doubt over the administration, and it wouldn't be beyond him. Even if there is truth to these claims, he's still going to be the first one to throw something out there that makes everybody take a second look at Kash Patel and the Trump administration. So his motives and his intentions here have to be considered when we look at this information. But at the same time, I find it just so strange that nobody had any clue who the DC bomber was until the Blaze put out that publication where they claimed that the DC bomber was a former Capitol Police officer and security detail for the CIA. All of a sudden, 2 or 3 weeks later, just by sheer coincidence, we magically found the right guy after 4 or 5 years of absolutely no activity on the case. All of a sudden, we claim that it's this person, and then actually it's not, it's this person. I mean, you can't look me in my face and tell me there's not something weird about that. So I honestly don't trust anybody or any institution, because they all have an agenda and they all lie to us on a daily basis. Even if Trump is president, even if Kash Patel is the head of the FBI, it doesn't change the fact that the rank and file, the senior officials, the people that we don't even know their names, still pull the strings behind the scenes in a lot of these institutions, and there's still corruption. And even Kash Patel can be misled and guided and steered into making certain decisions and taking certain actions, in making certain public statements, in prioritizing one thing over another, because there's still very much a shadow government in Washington, D.C. that's still very much alive and operating. And even if you have the good people at the top, they can still be manipulated. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I trust the FBI. I can't in good faith say that I do. So I have my questions, but it's unfortunately coming from Thomas Massey, who I also don't necessarily trust very much. So I wanted to just put this out there, guys. I'm not here to die on either hill, but I do want to get the information to you and allow you to form your own opinions and your own conclusions. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think down below in the comments section. As always, leave a like on the video and subscribe. And if you want to save money at MyPillow.
Okay, that's the latest on Nick.
That he's seeking re-election for a third term. This will be an interesting campaign season to watch. And notice how this golden rule, don't judge an entire group by the actions of a few, comes with a very selective return policy. It applies to everyone except white Americans. I mean, that's the modern left's moral math, right? Collective innocence for some, collective guilt for others. Jasmine Crockett proving that point, our unofficial ambassador of thoughtful policy. She says it's white Americans who should be kicked out of the country, not illegals. Is coming from a woman who has gotten her Jeffrey Epstein's mixed up in the past. I mean, this is the problem with the left, right? Big dramatic accusations and zero evidence. And yet somehow they still deliver it with full confidence. When Republicans talk about illegal immigration and crime, we're not speaking in hashtags. We're talking about real names. Names like Laken Riley, Jocelyn Nungary, Kayla Hamilton, and now, unfortunately, 20-year-old U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. She was shot in the head and chest on Thanksgiving Day. A life just beginning, violently taken. Translation?
Okay, that's the first one.
Today, stepping in to make sure someone actually holds these people accountable. Listen to what she had to say. When the grown-ups are back in charge, handling problems, enforcing rules, and protecting Americans. And what's Timmy's big strategy? He's going to throw a temper tantrum and whine about how mean everyone is being to him. The guy who stood on stage and said this. Waltz wants everyone to lower the temperature right after he throws gasoline on the fire and strikes a match. Now, speaking of misplaced outrage, let's talk about the latest media freak out over a targeted drone strike on a Venezuelan drug boat. Pete Hegseth spoke to the press today, and boy, did he let them have it. The manufactured outrage over the targeted drone strike on a Venezuelan drug boat is officially taking on water. Democrats are now pushing the narrative that Secretary of State Pete Hegseth ordered an illegal second strike after the first hit left 2 drug traffickers clinging to wreckage. Well, before we get to Hegseth's blistering response, here are the Democrats calling the strike murder and insisting we should have stopped to check their vitals, offer emotional support, and maybe a lawyer. Argument is averted to a Somali terrorist organization. And yes, Kristi Noem today stepping in.
Okay, got that. Move up here a little bit.
California. We have that newlywed couple in Oregon, and now angel dad Joe Abraham, who will also have an empty seat at his family's holiday table because of these reckless Democrat policies that put everyone except American citizens first.
We had a phone call Sunday morning, January 19th, that our daughter had died in a traffic wreck. And it turned out that the person who killed Katie was a Guatemalan national. He was using a Mexican national alias. So any minimal background check, any common sense policy that Illinois should have had would have kept him out of our state. He also had a incurable infectious disease. No one checked his health status when he came in. Was he as reckless with his disease in the communities as he was behind the wheel? I suspect he was. Illinois policies, extreme policies, help put that empty chair at our table. And I guarantee you that Illinois politicians have full tables at their houses.
How many Americans have to die before Democrats finally admit their experiment is failing? This isn't keeping anybody safe. And let's be clear, you were elected to protect Americans, not illegal immigrants. You work for us. Now, Sean Duffy, he just put New York on notice to stop this madness before even more families have to suffer the same fate.
I don't like that I have to do this, but the law requires me to do this. I'm going to give New York 30 days, because that's what the law requires, to come into compliance with the rules that have been longstanding at the Department of Transportation. If they come into compliance, we're going to work with them. If New York refuses to come into compliance, because Kathy Hochul, for some reason, believes that we should have unqualified truck drivers on American roadways, we are going to pull tens of millions of dollars as phase one for the state of New York.
We'll see how Kathy Hochul reacts to this audit, though. Let's be honest, no one's expecting a thoughtful, grounded response from her. And speaking of out-of-touch leadership, Democrat Senator Tim Kaine, he somehow decided the terrorist attack on 2 National Guardsmen in D.C. was the Trump administration's fault, not the killer's fault. No, the Trump administration. Because in Democrat world, deploying the Guard to keep Americans safe is reckless.
These individuals shouldn't have been here. They should have been celebrating Thanksgiving with their families at home rather than patrolling near Farragut Square in Washington. The civil officials responsible for an unlawful deployment will owe these families a deep, deep apology for the losses that they have suffered.
Really? I don't remember Democrats demanding Joe Biden apologize to the families of those 13 service members who were killed at Abbey Gate during that chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal of his. But when we have already watched 3 innocent people.
Okay. Hey, Coolby, me and Kay were discussing about the 2 TikTok ladies. We're not playing those 2 no more because they changed their platform. Not very nice words. So I found a bunch of other new ones on TikTok. This one is really good. The one I just played. She has a lot of she's big name. So I got a 5-parter here. Not sure. I got part 2. I can't find part 1. I gotta find part 1. I can't find it yet.
Affiliated with Victor Davis Hanson or any institutions associated with them. Our videos are inspired by his public talks. The problem is people will take these videos that show up on this quote unquote fan-made channel and put them onto other platforms with none of this background right here. And so deep fake video right now is really taking over all of social media. I mean, you have some social media platforms that are made up on just nothing but AI generated video.
All right, let me finish, Adam. So basically what this says is very similar when you think about it to the Ukraine Gate impeachment. Remember what happened? You had all of this crazy hype ahead about this telephone call where the hype said, what Trump said is, if you basically give me dirt on Biden and his family in Ukraine, that's the original characterization of that telephone call. And Trump said, okay, I'll make the call public, which he did. And it was, basically a very, very different telephone call than what was being asserted in all of the Psy-War hype ahead of time. This is, taken by one of Trump's basic supporters. And what Hanson says is, what happened here is Trump had to be physically taken out of the room after he had a big fight with Admiral Halsey, who was then the head of Southern Command, about the drug boat blow-up policy. And think about that. They're saying that the military had to pick the president up and actually take him out of the room because all right? That's what you're supposed to take from that presentation by someone who you may know from Fox News has been a regular, complete supporter of Trump and MAGA. In fact, he wrote a book about it. So that shows you the level of the stuff which is going on, trying to twist and turn things at this point. And the cause of it is exactly what Susan said. Trump is revolutionizing and taking us back to classic American foreign policy, which, in the words of John Quincy Adams, Americans do not go abroad seeking monsters to destroy. So that's where I'll leave that one.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give a quick shout out here, super chat to Ghost. We get questions like this all the time, so I'll take it very quickly, give it a quick answer. What are the chances in their disclaimer?
Okay, that's part 2. Part 3.
Globalists help and MAGA. Thank you very much, Ghost, for the comment. I don't think the United States is going to be annexing Canada anytime soon. I think you guys are going to have to start that initiative on your own if you want that to happen. Barbara or Susan, any comment on Canada being annexed?
It's as you say, this is not, the Canadian situation has to develop internally. As we'll see as we go through this document, the president is very clear. He wants to support sovereign governments and will do what he can to help the people in these circumstances. But once once you adhere to the principle of sovereignty, it really has to be left up to the people of each nation.
I agree. It does really come down to sovereignty of a nation. All right, first question here. These questions, the questions that we're about to take come from our newsletter supporters. We do a daily, once a day email newsletter. So the questions that you're seeing right now come from those supporters, and we'll also take questions from the chat as they come in. So the first one here is from Tessa. President Trump always appears to look at the bigger picture. Will he demand change in the UK and the EU? No country can cut themselves off from the rest of the world. When President Trump knows the direction of the European continent and where they are heading, how will this decide the direction of the USA? Will he make his move and close them down? America is the most powerful country in the world. How much longer can Europe go on, and what could he do? The UK becomes more like China with the social control policies with every day that passes. How can this current situation not worry the USA? Thank you, Tessa, for your question and comment. Barbara and Susan.
Adam, can you share the screen again? So I'm going to take you through a few sections of the NSS, which directly address that. First, Tessa's first assertion.
Can you just make the text size bigger on your screen there?
I can do that.
It'll help everyone a little bit. Yeah, just blow it up as wide as it'll go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Canada gets annexed. Our Canadian government are help.
I got part 1, then we'll go back to do 4 and 5.
Live question and answer show. We do this show every Thursday. My name is Adam Sturman. I am a producer here with Promethean Action, and I'm joined with the lovely Susan Kokinda and Barbara Boyd from Promethean Action and Promethean PAC. All right, today's show is entitled JP Morgan's $1.5 trillion versus Trump's national security strategy. I think you guys have seen the article, probably have seen the news about JP Morgan, and it's been making the news in all the financial press. They have this $1.5 trillion, I don't even know what to call it yet, funding alliance, plus some advisory board to go along with it. So I think it's kind of a two-part thing. You have the funding component, and then you have this advisory board that's surrounding it. And it's very interesting. I think this is a process that started months ago, but it's coming back into the public eye again. And so we're going to be talking about why this could possibly be coming into focus right now, right as Trump has just launched his new national security strategy, and what all of this means for 2028, next presidential election. So as we get warmed up here, why don't you as you come in, please just drop us a like. That helps the video a lot, especially when we're starting off, to get those likes. And let us know where you're from. And then we're going to jump right into some opening remarks here from Susan and Barbara. So let's see today. Immediately, I see stuff from Indianapolis, Massachusetts. Storm Lover 3 from Ohio, welcome. Hello from Northern California. Hello, Storm Lover. Thank you for joining us. Ruben Cruz, hello. Has anyone started a Promethean PAC here in New Jersey? Not a Promethean PAC or Promethean Action. So this is something we need to talk about.
If you reach out to us on our website, we'll get in touch with you and see if you have like-minded people around you.
Yeah, just reach out to us. Our email links are on our website, prometheanaction.com. Let me just spend a few more minutes here to let. Big hello from Brussels, Belgium. Thank you, Peter, for joining us every week. Also, our X.com supporters, thank you so much for joining us from X. I recently started an X.com profile myself. You could check it out. It's X.com at AdamSturman23. So you can give me a follow there. But thank you for all the people that follow us on X.com. We know we have huge support out there. Oh, there we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Promethean Actions.
Okay, I got 4 and 5 left.
Went to the basic principles. So this is right at the very beginning. This is the introduction. So it's actually page 1. People who have this can follow along or find it when they look at it. These are stunning statements. At the end of the Cold War, American foreign policy elites convinced themselves that permanent American domination of the entire world was in the best interests of our country. But Trump asserts the affairs of other countries are our concern only if their activities directly threaten our interests. And then let's go down here in terms of, what he says or what this document says. The elites overestimated America's ability to fund simultaneously a massive welfare, regulatory, administrative state alongside a massive military, diplomatic, intelligence, and foreign aid complex. They placed hugely misguided, destructive bets on globalization and so-called free trade that hollowed out the very middle class and industrial base of the United States. And then they say they sucked us into conflicts and controversies central to their interests. And they lashed American policy to a network of international institutions, some of which are driven by outright anti-Americanism and many by a transnationalism that explicitly seeks to dissolve individual state sovereignty. So you have never seen anything like this. Now I'm going to go down to what we want. And again, because I think it's important for the basic principles of what this document rejects and what this document embraces. First and foremost, we want the continued survival and safety of the United States as an independent, sovereign republic whose government secures the God-given natural rights of its citizens and prioritizes their well-being and interest. Then I just want to slip down here because I'm not going to sit here and read a whole bunch of this. But this is infused throughout. We want the world's most robust industrial base. American national power depends on a strong industrial sector. Cultivating industrial strength must be the highest priority of national economic policy. And it goes on in this way, addressing energy, science and technology, and so on. And the restoration and reinvigoration of American spiritual and cultural health. So I want you to have that framework in mind as we look at some of the specific areas. Now, Tessa asked explicitly about Europe, and I am going to go to page 25, which is the section on Europe. The first.
Okay, part 5. I got 2 cube ones coming up next.
Super chats. So I wanted to actually open up on something that kind of played out in the last 24 hours after I realized what was going on. We received a question coming off of what Barbara was talking about. We received this question last week from Mike. We'd like to thank you for sending this in. Mike sent in a question. What do you make of the latest rant against Donald Trump by Victor Davis Hanson about the exchange with the Navy Admiral over the Venezuela issue? Okay, so this, he also sent in this video here. I'm going to go ahead and just show, I'm going to show parts of this video. just to give people a sense of the type of warfare that's being waged against the administration right now. Let me take this one away. All right. Remove. No, come back. Okay, this is, sorry to always have problems with sharing the screen with the StreamYard, but it always trips me up. Move. There we go. Okay. So this video here, I'm just going to play a few
Hello,
seconds of it.
and thank you for coming back.
Right.
Sure you are. I hope
And
you have a
this is the
wonderful
kind of
Christmas. I
video-
really hope you are.
This is the kind of video right now that people are watching on YouTube.
Wild things throughout the years, but this is something that is completely different from everything else. However, before we go into it, you are aware.
All right. So what I wanted to bring up here, so it almost looks real. Okay, not possible. Trump freaks out after Admiral strikes back hard. So Barbara and Susan, do you know anything about this Admiral striking back hard? Like,
Well, people will recall that we've been in a crazy Democratic Party generated apparent debate about whether anything that's being done against drugs in terms of the Caribbean is actually legal or not, and whether Trump and Hegseth are guilty of war crimes for blowing up drug boats. Now, a poll run by the Reagan Library says that blowing up drug boats is among the most popular of the president's current policies with the American people. This, I believe, is a fake. All right, look at the size of his head on the body, and also.
oh no, this is definitely a fake, right? This page here, Voice for Seniors, actually puts and pulling up stuff that comes up. Also, we'll take any super.
Okay, I thought that was interesting. Those ladies and that guy does a good job. Next two are Q videos.
Story of our lifetime. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not overplaying it. Guys, this is a story of treachery and a story of unbelievable scandal. Now, because I want to be fair, I'm not going to give you my opinion, but I want to know what your opinion. I'm just going to give you the facts, Dragnet style, just the facts. I'm going to go through this with you real quick, but it's especially important to me because of the business that I'm actually in. It just rang huge red flags. So the old adage is follow the money. Who had the most to gain by Trump being shot or the possible killing of Donald Trump? Who had the most to gain, financially speaking? Well, the answer was brought out today, and unfortunately, it wasn't even a story that was big. It's not a story that's big in the United States. So there is an investment group, okay, and they are Austin Private Wealth LLC, okay. Now, on Friday, it appears that Austin Private Wealth LLC put in 120,000 shorts, okay, on Donald Trump stock, okay? Now, when you put in a short on a stock, what you are expecting is that there's going to be a major downfall. There's going to be a major plummet of that stock. Typically, most people that do that have some inside knowledge of what is coming, right? There was a whole lot of puts or shorts put in on stocks right before COVID broke out, right? Especially by people in Congress. They made a killing. You guys remember the movie of The Big Short right before the housing market crash, right? These guys who saw that there was a bubble and they decided to short it because they believed that it was going to crash, and they made billions of dollars. So you had Austin Private Wealth, and then you also had Citadel. Now they actually put in 16,770 puts or shorts. Okay. Now there was not a whole lot of reason on Friday to put in that many shorts. It came out to be somewhere around the neighborhood of 12 million. All right. $12 million, okay, in shorts. This is probably
okay. He didn't end it the wrong way this time. I got a second one. Shoot. I think this is a different one, isn't it? I'm not sure.
Still believe is one of the good guys. I really do believe that he is well intentioned. My frustration is that it seems after the investigation. Now we know that he has a legitimate case. We know that he has reason to go after these people, but for whatever reason, the crimes that are exposed are never prosecuted. And that's super frustrating to somebody like myself and super frustrating to you. Now, I understand the frustration and I'm equally frustrated, but the one thing that I don't want to take away from Jim Jordan is that Jim Jordan has done one heck of a job actually exposing real corruption, exposing things that we might not have known about had Jim Jordan not actually brought it to light. Now, we talked about the war that we are in, and that war is winning over the hearts and minds of Americans. The information that Jim Jordan has brought has actually opened a lot of eyes, especially in my family. So I'll take this for example. A while back, I talked to you guys about the DOJ employee who was then sent down to Atlanta, of all places, to go and work in Fulton County District Attorney's Office with Fannie Willis. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but being an attorney in Washington, D.C., working with the DOJ seems like a little bit of a backwards move to go and work under Fannie Willis. I'm just saying. But it wasn't until after he went to go and work with Fannie Willis that Fannie Willis then decided she was going to take a trip to the White House, that she was going to sit down with Kamala Harris. And after sitting down with Kamala Harris, decided the very next week that she was going to bring this case against Donald Trump. Well, that information all came out as a result of Jim Jordan and launching the investigation. Now he's launching another investigation into a man by the name of Michael Colangelo. Now, Michael Colangelo also worked with the DOJ and then left the DOJ to go and work with who else? Alvin Bragg in New York City. So now he is working in the office with the DA, the Manhattan DA. I spoke to you guys a couple of days ago.
I guess on TikTok he doesn't say goodbye. He just stops the video. So that was Q for today. I got one of the good channels coming up next here. Yes, please. 22 minutes from yesterday. It's from yesterday.
Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3794 AM. Today's date is December 12th, 2025, and the title of the episode is Fed Does Not Control Jobs or Inflation with QE Printing. Banks just got the message. Now, as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've all learned is that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, no one knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing's for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So when you're sitting around the table this holiday season, surrounded by family, remember the best gift you can give isn't under the tree, it's peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold delivers, peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. Before the year ends, take one smart step toward a safer future. Visit x22gold.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. That's x22gold.com. Don't leave your future to chance, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum. You can see over the many, many years, the Federal Reserve has been tricking the people. The people believe that the Federal Reserve was able to control the jobs, was able to control inflation, they were able to do this with QE printing. But that is not the case whatsoever. They're not controlling jobs. Actually, they're the ones who are creating the inflation. They never could control it. The only way you can control inflation is if you stop Congress from borrowing the currency and putting it in circulation. But again, they don't want to stop that. They want their debt system to expand. This way, they put the people of every single country, not just the United States, into debt, and you control the country. So they were never, ever going to control inflation. And they created these illusionary calculations on, hey, look, we only have inflation at 1 or 2%. Well, yeah, for that very tiny specific period. But when you add up the inflation going back all the way back to 1971 when we came off the gold standard, well, that's about 3,000%. This is why the U.S. dollar has lost, and it's not even the U.S. dollar, it's the Federal Reserve note, lost, 98% of its value? Because again, they did it to keep you in the dark. It's one gigantic illusion. And how are jobs created? Let me see. Are jobs created by inflation where manufacturers can't manufacture, where regulations are put into place, and manufacturers are pushed out of this country? Is that creating jobs? No, it isn't. You see, they created the jobs by creating government positions. So when they lost the private sector jobs, it went to government jobs. Wait a minute. How do you have to pay for the government jobs? You need to borrow more money, which then creates more inflation. It seems like the Federal Reserve does the actual opposite of what they're telling us, just like everything else. And you can see they're trying to convince the people of this country that Trump's economic system that he's building, well, it's failing. It's not working well. Inflation is not tamed. Employment is not good. Look at the layoffs. Oh, look, the country's falling apart. But when you really start to look at this, and Wall Street put this out, if the labor market is weakening, it's on the job creation side of the equation, maybe in part due to AI. The 4-week average, which largely irons out the week-to-week squiggles, and which ticked up to 216,750 seasonally adjusted, which is historically low, and in the same low range that it has been for the past 4 years. This administration's data, not survey-based data, freshly laid off people filed these applications for unemployment insurance at state unemployment agencies, which then reported them to the U.S. Department of Labor by the weekly deadline, which then combined the data and published it today. In a longer time span, going back to the 70s, initial claims are very low, despite the growth of non-farm payrolls over the decades. They were lower only during the tight labor market in 2018 and 2019, and during the labor shortages coming out of the pandemic. Layoffs show no signs of weakening labor market. If the labor market is weakening, it's on the job creation side of the equation. So layoffs are low, but once laid off, it takes people longer to find a job as companies have slowed their hiring. But even that has improved since the summer. Now, you have to remember, the Biden administration / Obama, plus the central bank system, they manipulated the job numbers from the very, very beginning. They told us there were a lot more jobs that were created, and there really weren't those jobs that were created. And when you're starting to cut government and you're starting to remove those jobs, and you have corporations that are laying off, and Trump now is creating new jobs, bringing manufacturing back, bringing investment back, and lowering the rates, which will allow companies to expand, you're going to see that jobs are going to be coming back quite quickly. Over the summer, all of a sudden you saw a pickup in hiring. I do believe this is going to now start to really accelerate in 2026 because, again, Trump has done what? He has laid the groundwork. So when you hear, oh, there's layoffs, oh, there's this, you have to remember, you got to put it all into perspective of what's really going on. And it's just like the private West Central Bank. As they shipped off the manufacturers and companies and small businesses closed down here, all they did was they replaced those jobs with government jobs, and they continued to do that. Actually, during the Biden administration / Obama, that's exactly what they did. And you can see that they're trying to convince people, and this is the fake news, the central bank and the rest, that the economy is not doing better. Now, they did the same exact thing, but in the opposite way during the Biden / Obama administration. What they did back then, they told everyone that inflation's not that bad. Fuel prices aren't that high. But you have to remember, the people experience something very, very different. Now they're going to try to convince the people that Trump's economy is not working, inflation's going up. Even though fuel prices are coming down, the fuel prices aren't really coming down. Now, this is only going to work in the year 2025 because what they really did was they handed off an economy that was completely and utterly failing, and they were hoping it would completely and utterly fail under the Trump administration during the year 2025. And this is why the Fed was holding the rates steady, because they didn't want to give anything to Trump to make the economy better. But the problem with all this is that Trump has created the tariff system. The tariff system actually countered what they were trying to do, which means their plan didn't work and actually boxed in the Federal Reserve because using their logic, let's see, unemployment is exactly where they wanted it to be, and inflation was exactly where they wanted it to be to actually lower rates. And then Trump called them on this. So the Federal Reserve had no choice but to start lowering rates. They didn't want to, but they had no choice because Trump continually pointed the finger at that. Look what's going on here.
For anyone who's been told they just need stronger glasses, hold on.
Thousands of people are improving their sight every day.
How did you lower the rates during Biden's term? You didn't see anything like this. Let's talk about how to protect ourselves online. Patriots 40 and up who have Gmail, listen up. Weeks ago, the biggest email hack ever just leaked over 183 million passwords. Yours most likely is out there right now, handed to hackers who steal your social security number, bank details, even your name to drain your accounts or rack up debt in your name. That's identity theft. Crooks pretending to be you, wrecking your credit, your savings, your life while you fight to prove it's not you. But here's your fix. Virtual Shield Identity Protection. Just easily sign up and it scans the dark web daily for leaked info. Blast alerts alerts to your phone if something's fishy, like that Gmail breach popping up. If thieves strike, up to $5 million insurance can help cover lost wages, legal fees, stolen money. Plus, 24/7 U.S. experts handle the calls and clean up. You just relax. It even monitors kids' identities before they know it. This Black Friday, take advantage for only $4.88 a month, the cheapest full shield around. Grab it at virtualshield.com/X22. That's virtualshield.com/X22. No more waiting. Your family's future depends on it. Eyes wide, defenses up, X22 out. Or just click the link in the description. So he pretty much boxed in the Fed, and the Fed pretty much said, okay, let's just do that for now. But the fake news is still trying to convince people that Trump's economy is not working. But what's going to happen in the end is that people now are going to experience something different. They're already starting to do this. Now that fuel prices are coming way, way down, people are starting to really take notice, and they're starting to say, okay, wait a minute, I got some more money in my pocket. This doesn't make any sense. When you start to get the tax refunds in 2026, people are going to start to really wake up and go, whoa, wait a minute. That one big, beautiful bill that Trump was talking about, wow, now I see what he's talking about, because now I didn't have to pay that much in taxes, or I'm getting a nice refund. And this is going to actually destroy the fake news narrative. It's going to destroy the D narrative. Trump, he put this out and said, I inherited a mess from Biden administration, the worst inflation in history, the highest prices our country has ever seen. In other words, affordability just 13 months ago was a disaster for the American people. But now it is totally different. Prices are coming down fast. Energy, oil, and gasoline are hitting 5-year lows. And the stock market today just hit an all-time high. Tariffs are bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars, and we are respected as a nation again. When will I get credit for having created, with no inflation, perhaps the greatest economy in the history of our country? When will people understand what is happening? When will polls reflect the greatness of America at this point in time and how bad it was just 1 year ago? When will people see this? In 2026. All of a sudden, you're going to see people talking about how incredible everything is. When people say, wow, in my area, gas is $1.98. I remember when it was $4. Trump brought it down. Hey, did you get a really good refund? Because I did. That one big, beautiful bill is absolutely incredible. Hey, look, a manufacturer just set up shop right in my town. Now there's job openings. I've been looking for a higher paying jobs, and now I can go get one. This is absolutely incredible. Look, the interest rates are coming down. I can afford a better house, a bigger house, a nicer house, and I just got a better job. And when you look at it, inflation's pretty much flat. Did the inflation disappear from all the way back to 1971? No. But I am getting more money because of lower fuel costs. And since the fuel costs are lower, I'm starting to see that prices in the market are coming down. Airline tickets are coming down. And with the low interest rates, I can get myself a nicer car for a cheaper price. And all of a sudden, our corporation, our business that I'm in, they're expanding. And because there's more sales. So this is what people are going to see. And I do believe this is going to happen in 2026. Now, of course, the fake news, they're going to try to fight back with everything that they have. They don't want people to understand that this is really happening. So you'll probably see stories that what you're experiencing is not real. What you're experiencing is something that just happens, for a couple of weeks and that's it. Or it's a leftover from Biden. They might even try to pull that one out. But again, this has nothing to do with Biden. This has to do with everything that Trump has been putting together right now. And actually, the economic system is going to really skyrocket as we go through the year 2026. And it's just going to get better and better and better. And you're going to see the tariff system. It's really going to be building up. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And the Federal Reserve will not be able to do anything. Remember, they really don't control employment. They don't bring down inflation. They cause inflation. They cause the problems in the economy. E.J. Antonio, PhD, put this out and said, they're not restarting QE because the labor market or inflation. It has nothing to do with full employment or stable prices. They're doing it to maintain the monetary framework they built in March of 2020, which requires things to go up. Peter Sayong responded to this and says, jobs are the excuse for QE money printing. Since 2008, the financial system needs a constant stream of money printing. In other words, inflation forever until either we end the Fed or a financial crisis does it for us. And that's the truth of the matter. The Fed has to continually prop the system up, because if they don't do it, the entire system collapses. This is why they wanted the Great Reset. This is why they tried to destroy the economy under Trump, but they never, ever expected Trump to build the parallel economic system as quickly as he did. They never expected him to actually dismantle the globalist system that they put into place to support the central bank system as quickly as he did, where he made these deals around the world. And the countries said, okay, we fold. We'll go along with it. We know we can't survive. We know the system was lopsided. We know you were passing money over to us. We know we were making a lot off the United States. We know we were making a lot off the people of the United States, because we just made them work harder and harder and harder. Trump has dismantled the globalist system. And now with the new system in place, remember, our goal, and I do believe this is the goal, our goal is to bring down the central bank system. It's to give the power of the economy back to the people. Give the power of currency creation back to the people. What do you have to do? You have to undo everything that they did to create their globalist central bank system. So this is what Trump has been doing. And he's using the tariffs to do it, because he has an engine that competes. To make the system run in any country, in any place, you need currency coming in, because without it, how do you fund anything? So if you have a borrowing system, the people are always on the hook. They always have to pay it back because you're borrowing the currency. Yes, you have currency coming into the system, but it's a system that enslaves the people. If you have a system where you're taking currency from other countries and you're funding the government, there's no borrowing. You don't have inflation. You don't have to have the people pay it back. There's no interest attached to it whatsoever, which means you don't have to take people's money from their labor. Actually, what's going to happen is people are going to receive money from the external revenue. You see, the central bank is taking your money because it's an internal revenue system. So Trump's system is going to give back to the people. The central bank system always takes from the people. And if you look at their system, just take a step back for a sec, their system always takes from you. We need more taxes. We need state taxes. We need more income tax. We need property tax. We need sales tax. Take. All they do is take. Oh, wait, inflation, the hidden tax. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to have to work harder now because your money doesn't go as far. Oh, you're going to have to get a second job because, by the way, your money doesn't go as far because our system is designed to keep you enslaved and keep you working harder and harder and harder. And you have to give us a portion of your hard work. So that system always takes from you. The external system always gives to you. That is the difference. And this.
There's one simple vision hack anyone can use to improve vision, so you can say goodbye to your optometrist for good.
Thousands of people.
This is what our founding fathers wanted from the very, very beginning. And you could see the banking system, they're kind of panicking right now because Trump is not just setting up cryptos, stable coins. Eventually, he will mention gold when the time is right. He's not just doing it to say, hey, look, isn't this fun? I got a hobby here. He's doing it because he knows this will compete against the entire banking system. He knows that this will allow people to have financial freedom in the end. And you can see the banks are definitely panicking. Lark Davis put this out and said, major U.S. banks are now issuing credit backed by Bitcoin. Wait a minute. I thought Bitcoin doesn't hold its value. I thought Bitcoin is used by money launderers. I thought criminals only use Bitcoin. So why would a bank, and think about this, a financial institution, why would they issue credit backed by Bitcoin if Bitcoin is going to go to zero? So Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Charles Schwab are just a few of the names that are doing this. And remember, banks don't lend you money. And that's absolutely true. And I remember Trump saying that The banks are antiquated. So I really do believe everything is about to change. And you can see that slowly but surely, Trump is actually positioning and actually setting everything
I
up.
get back.
So when the
connect you
change
guys.
comes, it's that much easier. And I do believe all of this is to give the people back their economic freedom. Because again, back in 1913 and moving forward, it was taken from we the people. And this is something the founders never wanted. And I do believe once the people have that power back, the deep state, the central bank, they'll cease to exist because they can't operate without money. They can't operate without the system. So I do believe as we move forward, we're going to see the economic system really improve. And the only way to stop it is to do what? Crash the economy? How would they do that? Well, there has to be some type of an event. I mean, if there is no event, then Trump has everything on his side. The people have everything on his side. And the economy is just going to continually get better and better and better. But again, you have to remember going back in history, that the central bank, they don't want to lose control, because if they lose control over everything. And once they lose control, it takes years upon years for them to try to reestablish themselves. And especially what I do believe Trump is about to do, where if he removes the Federal Reserve Act, if we actually remove the amendment where it says Congress shall collect taxes, if all of that is removed, it's going to be very, very difficult for the deep state central bankers to come back into this country. It doesn't mean down the line, hundreds of years later, they won't be able to, because we've seen it before. This is the third central bank in this country. So we know they're always trying to get back into this country. But again, we need to set up roadblocks. We need to remove them. And I do believe that is what we're on course to do. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.
Hi. I played ladies again, 5-parter. Samantha.
I'm Josh Harmon. I'm a
What are you doing? Help! Please!
10 minutes.
Hey! Go on inside. Hey, get down from there! Get out off the roof! My car! Hey, what's in that bag?
Good job, Santa. All right, come on. Let's go. I'm getting tired of catching you.
Here we go. Top of the show. Oklahoma City BLM leader charged with wire fraud, money laundering, alleged $3.5 million embezzlement scheme. Hopefully this is something that's going to balloon into a much larger investigation into BLM, the $100 million that they stole. The executive director of BLM has been charged with wire fraud, money laundering, and federal prosecutors. She diverted more than $3 million, returned bail checks into her personal bank account over a 5-year period. Tashella Sherry Dickerson of Oklahoma City is accused of routing money, indeed, the group's bail fund and social justice programs into her own accounts. Isn't that great? Bail fund and social justice. Here's $3 million for myself. The indictment says Dickerson used the money for her personal benefit, including a travel to Jamaica and the Dominican Republic, tens of thousands of dollars in retail shopping, $50,000 in food deliveries, a vehicle, 6 real estate properties, vehicles. All these BLM fraudsters are doing the exact same thing. The Somali fraudsters did the exact same thing. Fannie Willis did the exact same thing. Fannie Willis was doing these kind of, like, drinking Grey Goose, going on vacation, embezzling the money that she was getting in order to prosecute Trump. Man, according to the DOJ press release covering the indictment, BLM raised more than $5.6 million this chapter, beginning in 2020, including major grants, of course, from the Massachusetts Bail Fund and the Minnesota Freedom Fund. Isn't that great? Of course. The Minnesota Freedom Fund, the one that Kamala Harris was fundraising for. Got it? See how this works? Those organizations routed most of the money through the Alliance for Global Justice, which served as BLM's fiscal sponsor, required that all funds be used for tax-exempt purposes. Also prohibited real estate purchases without approval and required full accounting of expenditures at the request. Prosecutors say Dickerson instead deposited at least $3.5 million in returned bail checks into her personal accounts rather than the BLM accounts, and used interstate wires to submit 2 annual reports that did not disclose her personal use of the funds. This is great. Oh, man. You know, it kind of makes you wonder, like, the entire thing, this was obviously, the BLM organization was a fraud organization. Here she is with Ilhan Omar, of course, because perfect. It's perfect. How much of this stuff is centrally planned? This is exactly what they did. The BLM's Global Foundation, a separate national organization, came under scrutiny. And New York Magazine reported that it purchased a $6 million home in California using donor funds. They also purchased homes in Montreal, Atlanta, throughout America. When contacted about the charges, BLM Foundation spokesperson says it practices a model of decentralized leadership. Okay, but they're all doing the exact same fraud, so I don't buy it. It's like federal grand jury returned a 25-count indictment, 25 count, charging Dickerson with 20 counts of wire fraud, 5 counts of money laundering. She faces 20 years in federal prison for each wire fraud. So she faces 300 years in federal prison, potential fines of $250,000. Oh, boy. Okay. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. New fraud breakdown for BLM.
Black Lives Matter in trouble again. The leader of the Oklahoma City chapter is accused of using...
Is it me or is it the video, you guys? Is it a bad video? Did you refresh, Ann?
millions of donations as her personal ATM, and now she faces 25 federal counts. That's very serious. David Spunt, live from Washington with more. David?
Hi, Dana. Her name is Tashella Sherry Amore Dickerson. According to federal prosecutors, she's 52 years old. She ran Black Lives Matter, the Oklahoma City branch, and is charged with wire fraud and money laundering. Authorities say she began her tenure leading the organization in OKC back in 2016, giving her access to PayPal, Cash App, bank accounts of the Black Lives Matter chapter. They say that she put at least $3.5 million, $3.15 million, I stand corrected, in return bail checks supposed to be used to post bail for people into her personal accounts, rather into the chapter accounts. These are some of the allegations where authorities say she was involved traveling to Jamaica, tens of thousands, retail shopping, 50,000 in food and deliveries, personal vehicle registered in her name, 6 properties in Oklahoma City in her name, or a business that she controlled. Authorities say some of this all took place around the time of the death of George Floyd, which prompted, in some cases, violent protests across the country in 2020. Now, the BLM national office telling Fox News she is part of a separate local organization, writing to us, the Black Lives Matter movement practices a model of decentralized leadership. The Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation operates independent relief from local chapters, and the local chapters operate independently of the foundation, end quote. Now, we reported, Dana, at the end of October that the Justice Department is probing Black Lives Matter overall, looking at whether senior leaders in the organization may have potentially defrauded donors during those 2020 protests. If convicted, Ms. Dickerson could face 20 years behind bars and a fine of up to $250,000 for each count of wire fraud, and there are 20 wire fraud counts out of those 25 counts total. Dana.
The worst state to live in right now is Michigan, and nobody's talking about it. I've spent...
Woof. So that's hundreds of years in prison. Good. I mean, it really is time to start setting examples for people. Like, have you had enough? We've all had enough, right? Like, everyone, the fatigue is officially, totally, and completely underwater. We live in a complete state of fatigue. That's why we started at the top of the show, talking about the redemption and the cleansing the crystallization and the beauty of the memorial moment with Charlie, because it seemed to be a clarifying moment that we needed as a country. Like, kind of wake up from this fever dream, snap out of it. You know, if BLM wanted to actually save Black lives, they'd end abortion. That's what they'd do. You know, something like 60 million Black babies have been aborted. Hey, Alex, check me on that number. Like that, there's your genocide right there. Genocide in Palestine. There's your genocide. There's your genocide. Abortion's a genocide. It's a total evil. This Christmas season, we should be working to try and ensure that babies in America are born and not killed. The year's 2025, the year of our Lord. I can't believe that we're even saying that. But as you watch the wholesale population collapse in the West, no, this is in part because of abortion, great wars, birth control pill. These are the functions that lead to people not having any children at all. Preborn is doing their best, ladies and gentlemen, to try and counteract that poisonous child sacrifice culture. This Christmas, as we celebrate life, you have an opportunity to share the same gift with a mother and her baby. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy, unsure of what to do, searching for hope. Preborn Ministry comes in. Meet a young woman who was unmarried, and she found out about her pregnancy. And when the angel Gabriel announced that she would conceive by the Holy Spirit, this is Luke chapter 1, verse 26. It was a shocking revelation. Joseph even considered ending the engagement, but the angel appeared to him. This is a divine appointment and the fulfillment of a prophecy, salvation for all. Preborn serves as the face of the life movement. When a mother is facing this decision, she sees her baby's ultrasound provided for free by Preborn. In that moment, she has the opportunity to say yes, and Preborn's mission is to help her find the courage and support to do so. This Christmas, just $28, you can help save a life. Thanks to a special matching grant through the end of the year, your gift is doubled. To donate, dial pound 250 and say the word baby. That's pound 250. Go to preborn.com/Benny. That's preborn.com/Benny. Say the word.
Hey, that's one there. I got another one. Ah, it's the wrong one. Let's do this one.
Scandal of the Biden era. Over $550 million in taxpayer money stolen through a federal contracting program designed to help disadvantaged businesses. 4 people arrested. Decades-long bribery scheme involving cash, NBA tickets, and country club weddings. Biden tripled the program's budget with almost no oversight, and now 24 federal agencies are being ordered to freeze funding while investigations reveal the full scope of corruption. This is the story of how DEI priorities opened the floodgates to fraud. The $550 million bust that exposed everything. Let me start with the arrest that blew this story wide open. June 2025, the Department of Justice arrested 4 individuals in Maryland and Florida for running an alleged decade-long bribery scheme. Not a small-time operation, at least 14 federal contracts worth over $550 million U.S. taxpayer dollars. One of the 4 men arrested was a government contractor for the United States Agency for International Development. These weren't just fraudsters gaming the system. These were connected insiders with access to the highest levels of federal contracting. The scheme involved bribes that read like a Hollywood script, cash payments, NBA tickets, a country club wedding. Fox News chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel reported these details in June, and they paint a picture of brazen corruption, These contractors weren't hiding their lifestyle. They were flaunting it, using your tax dollars to live like celebrities while claiming to help disadvantaged small businesses. The 4 men have since pleaded guilty, which means the evidence was overwhelming. When federal prosecutors get guilty, please this quickly, it means they had them dead to rights. But here's what makes this scandal so much bigger than 4 arrests. This wasn't an isolated incident. This was systemic. Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa, who chairs the Senate Small Business Committee, has been investigating the program these fraudsters exploited. It's called the 8A Business Development Program, run by the Small Business Administration. And what Ernst discovered should terrify every American taxpayer. The program was designed to help socially and economically disadvantaged small businesses get federal contracts. Sounds noble, right? Help struggling businesses owned by minorities or people from disadvantaged backgrounds compete for government work. But implementation was a disaster, especially under Biden. Quote from Ernst herself, despite concerns with the 8, a program Joe Biden opened the floodgates to fraud. Opened the floodgates. That's not my characterization. That's the Senate committee chair who's reviewed all the evidence. Ernst continued, I have found evidence of alarming, potentially fraudulent 8A awards made across government that need to be investigated. The program must be halted at every agency while a thorough review is conducted to ensure taxpayers are not being ripped off by con artists. Con artists. Senator Joni Ernst.
Rate us on cash.
Which is super warm.
Like everybody's attention,
9 minutes.
Christmas is canceled.
You can't cancel it.
Give it up, Stanley, and you will lose New Year's.
What does that mean?
Jim, take New Year's away from Stanley.
Will they still air Rudolph?
What's up, guys? Benny. One of the more fascinating and consequential cultural moments of my lifetime was when President Trump won in 2016. Even before he took the White House, he decided to start saying Merry Christmas again. President Trump did his first rally as a Christmas rally, seeing obviously the symbolism and meaning of Christmas to our culture. He declared,
18 months ago, I told my first crowd in Wisconsin that we're going to come back here someday and we are going to say Merry Christmas again. Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Evan. Happy New Year, but Merry Christmas.
the Christmas trees on stage. This is a man who obviously brought us Home Alone 2, so he understands the optics. He understands how much Americans love Christmas. Look at this. Obviously, this is something that you're going to need if you're going to run a Christian nation. What about cities like Portland? Are they even Christian cities? No, of course not. Look at this. The vast majority of the population of Portland are unaffiliated with any religion. And you're going to have problems there. And you did with Portland's woke Christmas tree lighting. Christmas tree lighting ceremony sparks outrage. They can't even say Christmas tree. They didn't. They just said the tree. And they began with a land acknowledgement and screaming free Palestine.
And so if I could get a free Palestine. Free Palestine. Thank you.
If you ever wonder what the Longhouse looks like, it's this. If you ever wonder what libs have in store for you, it is the woke Christmas tree lighting in sunken and destroyed Portland.
Candace Jimenez. Good evening, everyone. My name is Candace Jimenez. My Wasco name is Timix. I'm from the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, and here along with my relatives, as was mentioned, I want to thank you for being here together with us today. On this Native American Heritage Day, I hold both gratitude and truth. The tree that we stand beside was once rooted in its own home. Bringing it here holds a complexity that Indigenous people, tribal peoples feel deeply. In our teachings,
So
the trees,
apologizing.
rivers, mountains, all living beings are family, more than the
For cutting down the
objects
tree.
and more than the symbols that they might stand for.
Really?
For me, this ceremony connects most strongly through water. Our Wasco people are river people shaped by the Columbia River, the Deschutes, and by our relatives here along the lumped
Okay.
drinks and their own way of holding
Keeps
space
going
and
on.
It is an indigenous town of the Purepecha Nation. I also have family from Eastern Europe, and both of my families were uprooted and forced to leave their homes. In my generation, I am able to have what I need.
And assalamu alaikum. I also go by Kauthar, which is my Islam name. I come.
I'm just randomly
Walaikum
fast forwarding
salam,
through this 10-minute
all
video.
oppressed peoples around the globe. And so if I could get a free Palestine.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I'm so sorry that I brought that to you. This is what happens when you decide that multiculturalism is going to be the greatest and highest order. You lose everything that made your country great, that made your city great, that make your traditions great, because somebody else has some other traditions and they'll be offended by your traditions. And this is like the worst possible result. Christmas is about the birth of Christ. It is fundamentally a Christian holiday. That's what makes it magical. It is the best holiday. And obviously, this is a desecration of that tradition. And some of our friends, like David Medina, saw this clearly. He was at the performance, whatever the hell this is. Look at that, 41st annual tree lighting in Pioneer Square. This is the tree light. They can't even use the term Christmas tree. Listen, what will happen is there's going to be a dominant culture. If you allow yourself to be conquered, as Portland has, as the culture of Portland has, there's going to be a dominant culture. That dominant culture is obviously Free Palestine, whatever indigenous land acknowledgement's going on here. It's clearly the dominant culture is not Christianity, Christendom, or anything having to do with Christmas, the birth of Christ. So you lose yourself entirely.
I have no idea who came up with the idea to get me this, but it's genius. It's 2025, and some people are still...
Listen to this.
All right, guys, so I'm in front of the Portland, they call it the tree. I'm not even kidding you. Look at, they can't even say Christmas. It says right there on the thing, right there, it says the tree. Here in Portland, Oregon, if you notice the fake news, local news media, and all of the influencers, they just call it the holiday tree. I am declaring that this is now hereby renamed to the Christmas tree. It's okay to say Christmas, but you guys don't want to say Christmas because it's for Christians, right? But if it was a Muslim thing, you guys wouldn't have any problem saying it. But Portland, this is the Christmas tree, the Portland Christmas tree. Let's take back Christmas. Let's not let them take Christmas from us.
They apologized. They gave a woke land acknowledgement and apologized for cutting down the Christmas tree. This is how bad things have gotten. The city of Portland, local media outlets are calling the tree because they despise Christians. They despise Christmas. I hereby call it the Christmas tree. Portland is so tone deaf. I went to the Christmas tree lighting last night. Friend had never been. There was the usual land acknowledgement. Imagine having to live with that. The usual land acknowledgement. That wasn't as bad as when we had a Muslim representation, a Free Palestine flag, and a Free Palestine chant. I was heartened that not many people chanted along, but the fact that this was allowed is beyond me. Can't have nice things. Portland Christmas tree lighting ceremony slammed after they refused to use the word Christmas. Speakers chanted Palestinian statements, waved a Palestinian flag, called it the tree. America is fast seeing the decline, allowing Islam and communism to spread freely. Portland revealed their tree literally is not even calling it a Christmas tree, it's simply the tree. And during the unveiling, a hijab-wearing activist chanted Free Palestine on stage. Freak show. In Portland, the woke are trying to be inclusive. They're refusing to call this a Christmas tree. No one can even say Christmas. President Trump is right. We're going to say Christmas again. Of course, they did this at the White House. Joe Biden had to be corrected by the kids here. She says, "Happy holidays," and the kids scream at her, "Merry Christmas." Listen to this.
Hello. How are you? Hi. Happy holidays. Hi. Happy Christmas. Yes.
So what is the major takeaway lesson from this? Well, if you let somebody conquer your culture, expect to live like a conquered person. Do you like Christmas? Do you like Christendom? Do you like America? Stop letting somebody else conquer your culture and bring in a foreign culture. There's no such thing as multiculturalism. There's just culture. That's it. There's just the culture. There's no such thing as multiculturalism. One culture is going to be dominant, and they're going to make the rules for everyone else. So who's going to be? Are we going to surrender? We're still saying Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Yes.
Okay. Did we guys play this one? Went too fast again.
Queen's estate by House investigators. She's a former White House counsel to.
I better not shoot. Better not play that. Another half hour.
But managed to enjoy, have a fun time nonetheless. We're talking about the biggest stories of 2025 and making our predictions for what's going to happen in 2026. And I think that you will like my prediction for 2026. My biggest prediction for 2026, and if you have time, watch the entire Glenn Beck special because I think you will enjoy it. My biggest prediction for 2026 is that a member of the U.S. Congress will be denaturalized, removed from her seat in Congress, and deported from the United States of America. And it's no secret to whom I am referring. It's no secret that the member of Congress who I think will face denaturalization, removal from Congress, and deportation from the United States is Ilhan Omar. A new report from the Daily Mail reveals pretty airtight evidence that Ilhan Omar actually did marry her brother all those years ago. It's an accusation that's been circulating for quite some time, but no one ever had exact proof because Somalia is not so good with the documentation since they're a third world war-torn country. But there have always been rumors swirling that Ilhan Omar married her brother. Well, according to a new investigation by the Daily Mail, there's even more evidence than that. Ilhan Omar's first husband, she married here in the United States only in a religious ceremony. She married a Muslim man named Hersi. They were married by a Muslim cleric in an Islamic ceremony, but they never married civilly. So their marriage was never recognized by the United States government. They got married purely in a religious setting. And she was married. Ilhan Omar was married to Hersi for many years. But then suddenly, she, in a civil ceremony, was married to a different man. She married a man named Elmi, the man who is accused of being her brother. And what's odd, Ilhan Omar is clearly a practicing Muslim. She wears a hijab everywhere she goes, and I believe professes that she is a practicing Muslim, and yet she was married to Elmi by a Christian minister, which seems odd that a Christian minister would agree to marry two Muslims, but it also seems odd that two Muslims would ask to be married by a Christian minister. And perhaps the reason that they ask a Christian minister to marry them, according to someone who knows them both, is because any Muslim cleric around the area that they live would have recognized the familial relationship, the sibling relationship between the two of them, and would have refused to perform the marriage ceremony. By marrying Elmi, Ilhan Omar secured him residence in the United States, although he did later leave for the United Kingdom. But that's not even the strongest reason. That's not even the primary reason that Ilhan Omar should face denaturalization. The primary reason is her status as a naturalized citizen was, according to some very credible reports, based on a lie. Ilhan Omar's father claimed that he was fleeing Somalia because the communist Marxist regime at the time was after him. But sources tell journalist Ashley Rinsberg that Ilhan Omar's father was actually a member of that violent communist Marxist regime. He worked in propaganda and he was fleeing because the government was being toppled by the people and he was afraid for his life. Well, eventually Ilhan Omar's father claimed asylum here in the United States and Ilhan Omar became a naturalized American citizen. But if it was based on a lie, then her citizenship ought to be revoked. Interestingly, this is not just a story that ought to be used politically to torment a member of the opposition. We have laws in our country, laws that should be enforced and followed. Otherwise, it renders our laws completely meaningless. And thankfully, border czar Tom Homan has confirmed that Ilhan Omar is, in fact, under investigation for immigration fraud. Take a listen to this.
The border czar Tom Homan joins us tonight to talk about Minnesota as well as a number of other issues. And sir, it's good to have you back on the show. Trump mentioning the Daily Mail reporting from 2020 that Ilhan Omar married her brother to get into the country. This was last week. Take a listen.
Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud.
Calls that a fraud. It's a story that has never been successfully refuted, even though it's now a 5-year-old story. That's clearly a deportable offense. Is there an investigation into that?
You know, I just got advised by a fraud investigator the other day on that. I asked the question, who reviewed the file, and says that there was immigration fraud involved. The statute of limitation became an issue in the last 4 years when this was first brought up. Who was president? Who ran DOJ? So pulling the records now, pulling the files, and we're looking at.
Yeah, a few more. I'm gonna find
fraud investigator, who I know personally, one of the best fraud investigators in HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, said there's no doubt he reviewed the file. So I'm running that down this week, matter of fact, and we'll see.
It's tremendous that, I mean, and according to the Secretary, Kristi Noem of DHS, she said nearly 50% of the visas are fraudulent in this community. I mean, that would mean that half the Somali refugees are here in some way illegally. What's going to happen? Is something's actually going to happen? Are there going to be people stripped of their visas, deported? Are we going to see that?
Absolutely. I mean, those days are over. Thank God President Trump's in the White House. We're going to look at all of them. I mean, we're going to look at those here illegally, of course. We're going to look at those here under a visa or some sort of, immigration process that are criminals. We're going to look at national security threats. But those who came through a process that weren't properly vetted, who didn't provide documentation, who slipped through the Biden's weak processes on, giving visas and temporary, whether student visas or visitors visas or whatever. We're going the whole gamut.
He's running it down this week, he says. Make it come true, Mr. Homan. Make my 2026 prediction come true even before 2026 hits. There is evidence. There's so much evidence. I mean, this is cut and dry evidence. And I'm not even one that jumps on a gossip story from the beginning. I remember when I first heard this report that Ilhan Omar married her brother, I was like, that sounds like a conspiracy theory that's forwarded on email by your boomer uncle. And listen, when you read it, that's not what it is. This is a credible accusation. She has 2 credible accusations on an AOL email. That's what my producer Spencer saying in my ear. Definitely that would come from an AOL email. 2 credible accusations of immigration fraud, marrying her brother and her father. Her father's name is Noor Omar Mohammed, and that he neglected to mention that he was a senior officer in the military of the Siad Barre regime, likely specializing in propaganda, according to Ashley Rinsberg. That is grounds for denaturalization, removal from Congress, and deportation. Please make my 2026 wish come true.
Hey, she does a good job. She's a popular lady. I got one from, I might go to 7:30 because I still got some good ones to play still, you guys. So my game don't start till 8 o'clock. So, see, it's this one. Oh, we'll play this one first. 3 minutes.
Believe the only way that you can win is by being soft and sounding like a Republican. That is not true. What people are looking for are people that are tough and are fighters.
Well, her Texas Senate strategy, pure performance art, as we would expect from a Democrat. Step 1, announce your campaign with a very weird, moody video.
Yeah, we
staring
saw.
off into the distance while Donald Trump's roast
Sorry
of
about
her
this one, guys.
playing dramatic music.
I'm going to go ahead and start this one. Michelle likes Christian.
In an interview, a C-SPAN caller called in and he's like, hey, you know what? This isn't working out so well because you get illegals that are getting healthcare ahead of me. And I'm like an American citizen who paid my dues. I don't understand. What do you guys do? And I'm telling you, she gaslit him. And I'm like, I can't believe this. They have politicized this stuff so badly. I want you to see this clip again from this morning on C-SPAN.
Let's talk to Dennis next in New York, Republican line. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yes, I'm a veteran collecting Medicare. I've been trying to get cholesterol and blood pressure medicine under the Biden administration since 2021 to 2024. And I always had a hard time getting a prescription refilled or anything else. It got to the point I actually went down to the office in Western New York Medical. The whole room was filled with illegal immigrants going in and out. I couldn't even get to the counter to get a refill on prescription cholesterol and blood pressure medicine. Anyhow, long story short, a month ago, I was rushed into the hospital with heart failure and that, and I get there, and for the last 6 months, I come to find out that I got kidney failure and congestive heart failure. Not one doctor from Western New York Medical called to notify me. They knew about this for over a year, and now here I am, and I listen to you Democrats saying that illegal immigrants weren't collecting Medicare and it wasn't hurting the American people. I'm dying right now because of them illegal immigrants getting in line before me. Our medical system and our healthcare system didn't even call to notify me to let me know about this a year ago. Do you have a response for your party and what they're doing to the American people?
Okay, so this is important. You know, he's obviously fed up. He's possibly dying. He wasn't able to get the health services that he needs. And this is the Democrat Congresswoman from Nevada about to tell him basically to go F himself, if you ask me. I mean, this is the worst answer I've ever heard.
Let me say I'm sorry for your health problems, and you should have gone to your member of Congress and asked him to help intervene.
Oh, yeah, it's your fault.
For you with Medicare, but Biden's gone, so let's talk about what you can do in the future. As far as blaming on the immigrants, U.S. law says that immigrants do not qualify for Medicare. So I don't know who is in front of you in line, but let's look at what caused your problem, see if we can help solve it now instead of just blaming other people.
Oh, I see. So you're a racist, Dennis, in New York. If you dare to say, hey, you know, it's not fair that somebody who is here illegally is getting healthcare ahead of me. And this woman says, no, it's all in your imagination. That's not the case because illegals can't get healthcare. Well, they actually can if they go to a hospital because, again, this is what one Democrat.
Okay, that's one, Trish. Next one, I think it's Texas board thing or something. I think it was on Fox today. I don't know if anybody saw this.
Good evening, Council. It's awfully late, but you guys are hanging in there. A little bit of a different topic. My name is Jessica Saxton. I'm a civil rights advocate and litigator from Washington, D.C. I am here to provide notice. This is in accordance with USCS Rules of Civil Procedure
7 minutes on
as
this.
well as Rule 17 and Rule 20 from the United States Supreme Court. The Constitution for the United States is the overarching requirements that every state must follow. I don't think that any one of you here would disagree with that. States are not able to enact their own alternative legislation and substitute that for the guarantees of the Constitution. That would mean that your state laws are more powerful than the Constitution, and that is simply unlawful. Clause 1 of Amendment 5 to the United States Constitution says that no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment by a grand jury. Unfortunately, the state of Florida has enacted a law in its inferior constitution that is permitting public officials to charge by way of information as opposed to indictment, and that is simply unlawful. An emolument violation is when you pay public officials to commit a crime. There are two areas of our Constitution that actually reinforces this. The first is Article 1, Section 10, and that's where it says that no state shall create, shall create or impair the obligation of a contract. So a contract, your police officers, your prosecutors, and your judges, they're all under a contract. that is a contract to perform based on the oath or affirmation that they took to support and defend the Constitution. The second area that reinforces the emolument violation, paying public officials to commit a crime, is the 14th Amendment. And that's where it states that no state shall create or enforce any law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of United States citizens. Confirmed in 2019 by Timms versus Indiana, privileges and immunities of United States citizens are at a minimum those that are enumerated within the Bill of Rights and the First 10 Amendments. Unfortunately, your state has enacted a law, as I mentioned before, in this inferior constitution that is permitting your public officials, your law enforcement, your prosecuting attorneys to charge by way of information as opposed to indictment, and that is simply unlawful. Mr. Tanoa Downing is preparing to litigate this issue at the United States Supreme Court on behalf of more than 700,000 people currently incarcerated in prison. Florida has thousands and thousands of people that are currently incarcerated in this state illegally and unconstitutionally. So I'm here today to provide notice to you that you cannot continue to pay public officials to commit a crime. Unfortunately, criminal sanctions can actually come from that. Officials must be made aware and that the emolument violation, it is a crime, it is illegal, it is unconstitutional. So I'm asking you honorable individuals to please take a look at Clause 1, Amendment 5, confirm what I'm saying to be true, and direct your public officials to act in a lawful constitutional manner that is consistent with the obligations codified in the Constitution. And I do have a notice for you guys to review later. I would like to put this on the record, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Saxton. Next is Tanoa Downing.
So good evening. This has been a long meeting. My name is Tanoa Downing. I'm the civil rights advocate litigator from Washington, D.C. that Ms. Saxton was just talking about. I need to step up here and provide a little bit of clarification to you guys so we can understand what just happened, what was just said, and what we're actually asking from you as the legislative body here. Okay, so again, no state can create its own alternative legislation and substitute that for the guarantees Constitution would enforce. That would obviously be quite unconstitutional. Likewise, agents cannot rely upon an inferior state statute that permits them or directs them to abridge their obligations codified in the Constitution of the United States. That would be a crime. So I want to let you guys know the situation. I have approximately 47,000 criminal affidavits on behalf of victims that have been charged by way of information as opposed to indictment from right here with the state of Florida. Many are from within this area, right? I'm not trying to get people into trouble, but we need to understand that when we pay people to abridge their constitutional obligations, that is a crime. These affidavits identify two crimes in particular. The first is Title 18 U.S.C. subsection 242, which is deprivation of rights under color of law. What that statute says is that any person who, under color of any state statute, ordinance, custom, or regulation, deprives any person of any right secured by the Constitution commits that crime. The second crime is Title 18 U.S.C. subsection 241, which is conspiracy to deprive rights. What that states is when two or more persons conspire with the purpose of depriving any person of any right secured by the Constitution commits that crime. Now, the law is a criminal conspiracy with regard to public officials. That's all of you. What that states is that any person who, having knowledge of any of the wrongs conspired to be done and who have the power to prevent or aid in the prevention of the commission of the same, neglects or refuses to do so, may be joined to dispense the action. So upon having been provided this notice, letting you know that you guys are paying people to abridge their obligations codified in the Constitution of the United States of America, I would ask you guys, please, let's work together to fix this problem. Because the alternative is that we'll have to convert these criminal affidavits to criminal complaints. We don't want to go down that path. That's not the direction we want to go. But we need to make sure that we're working together to fix this problem. We cannot continue to pay these public officials to abridge their obligations. Now, I know that you're going to go to the attorney as soon as we're done. You're going to ask that attorney whether or not what I'm saying is true, and that attorney is going to point you to a case from 1884 called Hurtado versus California. And before you choose to rely upon that as a foundation, I must remind you that the Constitution of the United States of America is the foundation, not a judge-made ruling. The Supreme Court of the United States has no constituted authority to be able to alter, amend, or destroy any provisions or guarantees of the Constitution, because that must be done by an authentic and explicit act of people in accordance with the special amending procedure of Article 5. Furthermore, judges cannot legislate. We know that because Clause 1, Article 1 says all legislative power is vested in Congress of the United States. So I know this is a tough decision. As soon as we're done, you're going to have to make a decision, and you're going to have to decide whether you're going to follow a judge-made ruling or the Constitution of the United States of America, the object of which your fidelity is found. I pray that you guys make the right decision, but I want to leave you with this. United States Circuit Court has identified a two-part test used to determine an abuse of discretion. The second part of that test says that any erroneous view of the law is an automatic abuse of discretion. An erroneous view of law would be that in your legal contemplation and considering this matter, that you rely upon the lowest form of law and not the Constitution of the United States. That would be an obvious erroneous view of law. Therefore, if you continue to pay these public officials after being made aware of this, then the abuse of discretion will have occurred in accordance with the United States Circuit Court. Thank you guys so much. God bless. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, Mr. Downing.
Okay, that was a meeting on something somewhere. Okay, one more short one. I hear you, Chico. We got two more short.
Out in Oklahoma City, ladies and gentlemen, who was in charge of Black Lives Matter. And what do you know? She kind of was another one of the pirates. She made off with a bundle, if you would. This is, oh gosh, I'm not even daring to say her name. I know I'm going to mess it up. It's a tough one to say. Let me see here. Tashella Sherry Amore Dickerson, 52 years old, of Oklahoma City. Boy, oh boy, this lady decided to help herself. Remember when they were trying to raise money for, let's see, we get another picture of her here. Remember when they were trying to raise money for, we'll put her right there so we can still see the Christmas tree. How about that? They were trying to raise money to get people out of jail after some of those George Floyd protests, and you remember the summer of 2020 and how bad that was. Well, she wound up taking a lot of that money, and instead of getting people out of jail, apparently decided to help herself and bought like 6 properties. I think she spent $50,000 on food, according to authorities. Allegedly, she's been indicted, by the way. So she's allegedly quite the fraudster herself. And as I understand it, the DOJ is actually launching a big investigation into Black Lives Matter overall. Black Lives Matter would tell you there's a global organization. You know, they have nothing to do with this lady, but she was kind of an individual chapter out there in Oklahoma City. I don't think it's a very good look, shall we say, for the brand. No, the brand is going to suffer a bit, and, you know, cash is coming from. As I said, the DOJ has launched an investigation. The FBI is gathering research as we speak on Black Lives Matter as a whole. They just had this woman indicted because she is accused of having bought 6 different properties, have taken trips to Jamaica. She spent $50,000 on food. I don't know if she needed that. And cars in her name, you name it. I mean, this is unbelievable stuff. It's amazing how brazen people are. Let's go to a Fox report here, which is very interesting on the details of this particular Black Lives Matter case with Ms. Anderson.
Lives Matter in trouble again. The leader of the Oklahoma City chapter is accused of using millions of donations as her personal.
Tashella Sherry Amore Dickerson. She ran Black Lives Matter, the Oklahoma City branch, and is charged with wire fraud and money laundering. Authorities say she began her tenure leading the organization in OKC back in 2016, giving her access to PayPal, Cash App, bank accounts of the Black Lives Matter chapter. They say that she put at least $3.5 million, $3.15 million, I stand corrected, in return bail checks supposed to be used to post bail for people into her personal accounts, rather into the chapter accounts.
Travel to Jamaica. Oh, and I forgot the Dominican Republic. Tens of thousands of dollars in retail shopping and at least $50,000 in food and grocery deliveries. That would be a lot of food. Anyway, wow. It gets worse.
Traveling to Jamaica, tens of thousands retail shopping, $50,000 in food and deliveries, personal vehicle registered in her name, 6 properties in Oklahoma City in her name, or a business that she controlled. Authorities say some of this all.
There's more fraud to tell you about.
Okay, we got 2 good ones from church today. Last one is the newest, or the last Q one that just came out, okay? Last one.
What's up, family? Welcome back to Out of the Darkness. I am Q. So I've got to talk about something that's pretty controversial, but it has to be talked about. If I hear one more Republican mock Jasmine Crockett and say that there's no way she wins the Senate seat in the state of Texas, I'm going to lose my mind. This is a very, very dangerous woman. And for whatever reason, the Republicans and the old talking heads are not giving her the amount of credence that they should. They believe that they won in 2024 of their own accord. They don't get it. They're not understanding. If it were not for Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump, I do not believe, would be elected. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is bad. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is the wrong guy for the job. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that Charlie Kirk delivered a portion of this country, a demographic of this country, that Republicans have not in the past gotten. Charlie Kirk was one of the few and the first to actually sit down on college campuses and listen. Why, he would ask, why are you liberal? And they would answer, we want someone to listen to us. We want our country back. We want to live in a nation where we are put first. Check. We want to live in a country that's affordable. Check. We don't want our money being spent in foreign countries on foreign wars. Check. And what do? We decide to split the Republican Party over, well, I love this country and I love this country. Well, you don't love this country. Well, this foreign country. Well, then I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Why? We're America first. We are America first. And Charlie was able to explain this to people and let them know that we are America first. If you want America to be first, if you want to afford housing again, if you want our national debt to go down, if you want to see families thrive again, come with me. We're going to go to the Republican Party. And he led those people to vote for the Republicans. But the reason why people hated Charlie Kirk is they realized that he was getting to be way too powerful. Charlie Kirk wasn't leading the Republican Party. Charlie Kirk was leading what could have possibly been the independent party, a third party. He was leading an America First party that could one day fracture and become a third party. And that was dangerous to both sides. I'm not getting into any conspiracy theories or any of that, but it scared people. And now you see all of the establishment guys clamoring to try to grab a hold of Charlie Kirk's base. And it's not going to happen. It will not happen. Why? Because they are trying to bring the old Republican Party, and it will not work. It will not work because that generation is 100% America First. And it's frustrating because now we are taking those people for granted, just like we've taken people for granted in the past. And they're not going to be taken for granted. They're not going to say, well, I'll hold my nose and I'll vote for this person because even though I don't agree with this person, even though I don't trust this person, at least it's better than that. No, they'll stay at home. They'll stay at home or they will go third party. And we will see elections lost time and time again. It's a courtship. And if we can't get our act together as a conservative movement and we can't listen to each other again, we're going to see people like Jasmine Crockett, Zorhan Mondani. We're going to see people like those that continue, Gavin Newsom. Who would have ever thought that we would see these types of socialists continuing to get into office? Because we can't get our act together. We can't seem to unite within the conservative movement. I'm telling you, we are going to lose what it is that we've built if we do not unite. And I know that message is going to offend some, but all I can say is we need to get our act together because we're relying on a group of people to do what they did for us in 2024, when one, their leader is no longer here, and two, everything that we promised them is not coming to fruition. Comment below. Let me know what you think.
Okay. That's going to wrap things up for today. So, once again, God bless everybody. Love all. Remember, please hit the like and subscribe. Yep, you too, Chris. Thanks, Kay and Michelle. And stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith, and never give up. All right, signing off, Chico and New. Until tomorrow. Take it easy.